Hi, I'm Andrea Kawabata, and I'm an Extension Agent with the University of Hawaii at Manoa's CTAHR Cooperative Extension Service. I provide support to the coffee industry statewide and to commercial orchard crop growers in West Hawaii. This presentation will cover the use and timing of Priaxor Xemium applications for the management of coffee leaf rust in Hawaii. At this time, results from Hawaii researchers are showing this fungicide to be our most effective product that growers can purchase and use on their coffee crop. The information provided with this presentation is based off our current knowledge of the best use of Priaxor as suggested by the manufacturing company BASF, Priaxor's Section 18 label, and from the past 2 years of research based on Hawaii farm situations and environmental conditions. Hawaii has many microclimates throughout its coffee growing regions, and so growers will need to tailor recommendations to the individual farms and locations while following all product and Section 18 label requirements. Mention of a trademark or proprietary name does not constitute an endorsement, guarantee, or warranty by the University of Hawaii Cooperative Extension Service, its employees, or funding agencies and partners mentioned, and does not imply recommendations to the exclusion of other suitable products. Priaxor Xemium brand fungicide is a BASF product. It is a non-organic conventional fungicide and so may not be a product suitable for all coffee growers. Priaxor contains the active ingredients fluxaperoxab and pyraclostrobin, which are FRAC Group 7 and Group 11 fungicides. These group numbers are important to know for product rotation and pesticide resistance management purposes. Priaxor has contact, translaminar, and xylem systemic properties and has been proven to help protect coffee leaves from coffee leaf rust spore germination and new infections. This product has also been shown to provide some plant health benefits such as increased photosynthesis, carbohydrate assimilation, and reduced stress hormone formation. Priaxor is not a true systemic fungicide. Rather, its translaminar and xylem systemic properties allows the active ingredients to move through the leaf surface and to other areas of the leaf to protect against fungal diseases like coffee leaf rust. Because Priaxor is not a true systemic fungicide, the active ingredients do not move from leaf to leaf or from the sprayed leaf to other areas of the plant. So it is critical to get good spray coverage for the protection of all leaves and leaf surfaces, including the underside of the leaves. The link may provide a more visual explanation of how Priaxor moves into and through a leaf. For best effectiveness, Priaxor must be applied properly and timely. This product is still considered a preventative fungicide and not a curative one. Applicators must also follow all Section 18 label directions and instructions, which includes applying Priaxor to field-grown coffee only. It is recommended that you prune before Priaxor is applied, as pruning helps to remove infected and excess leaves and branches, and helps to improve spray coverage, spray penetration, and access to the inner canopy while reducing the rate of water used per acre when spraying. Begin applying Priaxor to protect new leaf growth or the new flushes in the early spring before the onset of CLR on these leaves. While the product may slow down the spread of CLR, Priaxor will not cure infected leaves of the disease. If the trees were recently stumped, wait until there is new growth, then apply Priaxor. Only a total of 2 applications of Priaxor is allowed per year. According to the Hawaii Department of Agriculture, this year time frame is not based on a calendar year. So under the Section 18 label, for example, if you apply Priaxor on March 30th and again on May 4th, 2023, you cannot spray Priaxor again until at least March 31st of 2024. The first and second Priaxor applications must be made at least 30 days apart, and under the Section 18, any Priaxor application must be made at least 45 days prior to your first harvest. For pollinator protection, avoid spraying during bloom and avoid adding penetrating spreaders into the tank mix. Because coffee is not yet added to the Priaxor product label, use of Priaxor in Hawaii is under a U.S. EPA Section 18 emergency exemption permit. Before use, always read and follow the product label for any pesticide, and in this case, also read and follow the Section 18 label. The Section 18 label requires that all handlers of Priaxor be WPS trained within the year, as worker protection standard training is required annually for agricultural workers and pesticide handlers. If using handheld equipment to apply Priaxor to coffee in Hawaii, a respirator is required. However, anyone using a respirator must first pass a physician's medical evaluation that approves their use of a respirator. Then, the handler must be trained and fit tested to ensure proper protection by the respirator. If the current respirator is broken, inadequate, the incorrect model, or does not fit properly, a new respirator that abides with label requirements should be purchased and fitted to the pesticide handler. If a respirator is required, your employer must provide respirators, training, and medical evaluations at no cost to the employee. And while you may not be required by a pesticide label to wear a respirator, it is highly suggested to wear one that fits properly and that will protect your health and safety. It is a violation of federal law to use Priaxor in a manner that is inconsistent with its labeling. Please read and follow all product and Section 18 label instructions before handling, mixing, and applying Priaxor or any pesticide. The applicator must have the entire product and Section 18 labels in their possession at the time of the Priaxor application. Under the Section 18 label, you must notify the Hawaii Department of Agriculture's pesticide branch of a Priaxor application at least 7 days prior to the application, and provide the department with information listed on the instructions for Priaxor applicators. After spraying with Priaxor, a record of pesticide application form must be completed and submitted within 10 days of the application. Both the 7-day notification and the application report form can be submitted to HDOA's pesticide branch via email or mail. The Section 18 label allows you to apply Priaxor at a rate of 7.14 fluid ounces per acre, no more and no less. This rate of Priaxor should be mixed into at least 20 gallons of water per acre. More water will be needed for larger trees compared to smaller trees, but the rate per acre must remain the same at 7.14 fluid ounces. Again, only 2 applications are allowed per year, and maximum rate per year per acre is 14.28 fluid ounces of Priaxor. There's a 12-hour REI, and so do not re-enter the field until at least 12 hours after the completion of spraying. If you must re-enter during that 12-hour REI, be sure to follow all PPE and early entry directions found on the product label. Under the Section 18 label, you must maintain a 25-foot buffer from the coffee trees sprayed to the edge of the farm property, even if your neighbor has coffee as well. To reduce potential runoff, you must also maintain a vegetative buffer strip between where the product is applied and the downslope edge of the field. Be aware of nozzle spraying direction and avoid weather conditions such as wind speeds exceeding 15 miles per hour and temperature inversions that could favor drift. To avoid pesticide resistance with the repeated use of fungicides, it is highly recommended to add in an application of a non-Group 7 and non-Group 11 fungicide between the first and second Priaxor applications. You could add in an application of a copper-based or bacillus-based fungicide product, oxidate, or Problad verde. While CLR has not been shown to become resistant to fungicides, other plant diseases such as rice blast, sugar beet leaf spot, and grape downy mildew have been known to become resistant to pesticides when used repeatedly. Information about pesticide resistance management, fungicide rotation, a complete listing of HDOA approved fungicides for coffee leaf rust management, compatibility with Beauveria bassiana, product labels, and other information can be found at the link provided. Again, following the spray application, you have up to 10 days to complete and submit the HDOA record of pesticide application to the department. Both the notification and report can be mailed or emailed, and if you have any questions, you can contact the pesticides branch by phone or email. As a side note, a representative from HDOA may make a random site visit during your Priaxor application. In summary, Priaxor is currently the most effective product to combat damages caused by coffee leaf rust and can be incorporated into a spray rotation with other approved fungicides. By including this product into a spray program, its timing of application is critical and most beneficial for protecting the new flush growth as well as existing leaves from CLR infection during the early spring months and when CLR incidence is lowest. We want to take advantage of Priaxor's contact, translaminar, and xylem systemic properties to prevent new lesions and to slow the spread and rate of infection of CLR with good spray coverage on the top side and underside of all leaves. Be sure to follow all product and Section 18 label directions, as the labels are the law. High CLR pressure requires 2 applications of Priaxor made at least 30 days apart and at least 45 days prior to harvest. And lastly, the ultimate goal in incorporating Priaxor into a CLR management plan is to maintain healthy leaves, plants, and high productivity by controlling the spread of CLR and preventing leaf drop and defoliation through the harvest. The next set of slides will go through examples of spray schedules for several different farm scenarios, including 2 farms that prune in the Kona-style, where one farm finishes pruning in mid-January and the other finishes pruning in mid-March. A third example includes a farm that has block stumped in mid-February. These are merely examples of spray schedules that could be used as a baseline to creating a spray program that includes the use of Priaxor Xemium. Different farm situations and weather conditions may require modifications to these examples. I'll start off with an example farm that is located in Honau. This farm annually prunes in the Kona-style. This farm is finished harvesting in December, completes strip picking of all remaining berries and raisins, and selectively prunes out the old verticals and any excess verticals from each tree by January 15. The weather is dry, and so the farmer decides to spray Oxidate 2.0 immediately after pruning to kill off coffee leaf rust spores that have spread while pruning. There is no rain, and so the spores are just sitting on the leaves and branches and cannot germinate, but are still alive. The farmer sprays with Oxidate 2.0 at a 1% rate on January 16, and with good coverage, kills off as many CLR spores as possible on the top side and underside of the leaves. The different colored cells indicate 4 different frac groups from which a farmer can choose at least 2 products to rotate with for pesticide resistance management. From January 17 and on, the weather remains dry, but on February 5th, a storm front threatens to bring rain to the farm. On February 3, the farmer decides to spray his coffee trees with Serenade ASO, a bacillus-based fungicide, to kill rust spores waiting for rain to arrive so they can germinate and infect leaves. He sprays at a rate of 3 quarts per acre. From February 7 to March 29, the weather dries up again, though there's a slight drizzle on 3 separate days during this time. The farmer decides that there isn't enough water to allow CLR spores to germinate and holds off on spraying with a different fungicide. The farmer plans on spraying with Priaxor on March 30, and so on March 23rd, he notifies and emails HDOA of the impending application. On the 30th of March, the farmer calibrates his sprayer and determines that he needs 60 gallons of water to spray an acre of his coffee. To learn more about sprayer calibration and for help with pesticide calculations per gallon or tankful, visit the link provided on this page. The farmer reads both Priaxor labels, has the labels with him at the mixing station, and puts on his PPE according to the label directions. He fills his 3-gallon tank with 2 gallons of water, adds 0.357 fluid ounces or 10.56 milliliters of Priaxor to the tank, adds widespread max to the mix, and then fills the tank to the 3-gallon mark. The tank contents are mixed and continually agitated. Using a very deliberate spray motion and speed, the farmer applies Priaxor to the entire tree canopy, including the top side and underside of the leaves. He applies all 3 gallons of Priaxor solution and returns to the mixing station to repeat the refill, mixture, and application another 19 times. He then cleans up after spraying the entire acre with a total of 20 tankfuls. While the farmer has until April 9 to submit his pesticide application form to HDOA, he completes the form, maintains a copy, and submits the original to HDOA via email the following day. He also completes his farm's pesticide record-keeping log found at his central notification site. Priaxor has about a 21-day residual, and between the first and second applications, it is recommended that a non-Group 7 and non-Group 11 fungicide be used to avoid pesticide resistance. 3 weeks after the first Priaxor application, the farmer decides to spray with Badge X2, a copper-based fungicide with a residual of approximately 14 days. On April 20, he applies Badge X2 at a rate of 2.5 pounds per acre. The farmer does not re-enter the field for at least 48 hours to fulfill the REI requirements on the label. The farmer wants to desucker his trees before the second application of Priaxor, so he plans to do this between April 23 and May 3rd. With an approximate 2-week residual from Badge, the farmer decides to spray his second application of Priaxor on May 4. On April 27, he notifies and emails HDOA of the impending application. On the 4th of May, the farmer calibrates his sprayer and determines that there's additional growth and foliage on the trees and that he now needs 72 gallons of water to spray an acre of his coffee. The farmer reads both Priaxor labels, has the labels with him at the mixing station, and puts on his PPE according to label directions. He fills his 3-gallon tank with 2 gallons of water, adds 0.298 fluid ounces or 8.8 milliliters of Priaxor to the tank, adds widespread max to the mix, and then fills the tank to the 3-gallon mark. Tank contents are mixed and continually agitated. Using a very deliberate spray motion and speed, the farmer applies Priaxor to the entire tree canopy, including the topside and underside of the leaves. He applies all 3 gallons of Priaxor solution and returns to the mixing station to repeat the refill, mixture, and application another 23 times. He then cleans up after spraying the entire acre with a total of 7.14 fluid ounces of Priaxor spread over 24 tankfuls. The following day, he completes the pesticide application form, maintains a copy, and submits the original to HDOA via email. He also completes his farm's pesticide record-keeping log found at the central notification site. The second application of Priaxor maintains residual protection for about 3 weeks. And so from May 25 through the harvest, the farmer sets a 20-day spray schedule and decides to monitor his farm for CLR spread and for rain events. He plans to adjust his spray schedule accordingly with the weather, any increase in CLR incidence level, and with scheduled harvest dates. Since the farmer's second application of Priaxor was made on May 4th, the earliest he can harvest and sell his coffee cherry is June 19. The farmer schedules his second desuckering for August 15. Since it's raining, he sprays the farm with Oxidate 2.0 at a 1% rate before desuckering to kill off CLR spores before they are spread and can germinate and infect leaves. After completing the desuckering, the farmer maintains his 20-day spray schedule and continues to monitor the weather and farm situation to make any adjustments to the harvest season. The second example is of a farm that also prunes in the Kona-style, but this Ka'u farm finishes harvesting and strip picking in early March. The weather has been raining off and on, and so the farmer sprays with Oxidate 5.0 at a 1% rate before pruning. This way, she kills coffee leaf rust spores before they are spread, can germinate, and infect leaves. On March 15, Farmer B completes her pruning. After pruning, on March 16, she applies Badge X2 at a rate of 2.5 pounds per acre to kill any spores that may have been spread and to maintain a spray schedule through the rains. Farmer B plans on spraying with Priaxor on April 5th, and so on March 29, she notifies and emails HDOA of the impending application. On April 5, the farmer calibrates her sprayer and determines that she needs a total of 200 gallons of water to spray 5 acres of coffee. The farmer reads both Priaxor labels, has the labels with her at the mixing station, and puts on her PPE according to label directions. She fills the 100-gallon tank with 75 gallons of water, adds 17.85 fluid ounces of Priaxor to the tank, adds freeway surfactant to the mix, and then fills the tank to the 100-gallon mark. The tank contents are mixed and continually agitated. Using a very deliberate spray motion and speed, the farmer applies Priaxor to the entire tree canopy, including the topside and underside of the leaves. She sprays 2.5 acres of coffee and repeats the tank mix to spray the remaining 2.5 acres, then cleans up. On April 8, she completes the pesticide application form, maintains a copy, and submits the original to HDOA via email. She also completes her farm's pesticide record-keeping log found at her central notification site. 3 weeks after the Priaxor application, the farmer decides to spray double nickel 55, a bacillus-based fungicide with approximately 10 days of residual. So on April 26, she applies double nickel 55 at a rate of 2.5 pounds per acre. The farmer does not re-enter the field for at least 4 hours to fulfill the REI requirements on the label. Farmer B decides to spray her second application of Priaxor on May 6 and notifies HDOA on April 29 of the impending application. On the 6th of May, the farmer calibrates her sprayer and determines that there's additional growth and foliage on the trees and that she now needs 250 gallons of water to spray 5 acres of coffee. The farmer rereads both Priaxor labels, has the labels with her at the mixing station, and puts on her PPE according to label directions. She fills the tank with 75 gallons of water, adds 14.28 fluid ounces of Priaxor to the tank, adds freeway to the mix, and then fills the tank to the 100-gallon mark. The tank contents are mixed and continually agitated. Using a very deliberate spray motion and speed, Farmer B applies Priaxor to the entire tree canopy, including the topside and underside of the leaves. She sprays 2 acres of coffee and repeats the tank mix to spray an additional 2 acres. On her last tank mix, she fills the tank with 30 gallons of water, adds 7.14 fluid ounces of Priaxor to the tank, adds free weight to the mix, and then fills the tank to the 50-gallon mark. She sprays this last tank of solution on the final acre of coffee and then cleans up. The following day, Farmer B completes the pesticide application form, maintains a copy, and submits the original to HDOA. She also completes her pesticide record-keeping log found at the central notification site. With an approximate 3-week residual of Priaxor, the farmer sets a 20-day spray schedule from May 27 and decides to monitor her farm for CLR spread and for rain events. She plans to adjust this spray schedule accordingly with the weather, any increase in CLR incidence level, and with scheduled harvest dates. While Farmer B wanted to desucker her trees before the second application of Priaxor, the late pruning slowed the regrowth of verticals. She must wait for the new growth to get a little larger before she can select shoots to retain on the tree. On June 10, she desuckers all excess regrowth except one vertical. She selects the strongest and best positioned vertical to retain for production in the coming years. Since the farmer's second application of Priaxor was made on May 6, the earliest she can harvest and sell her coffee cherry is June 21. Farmer B schedules her second desuckering for September 15. She also maintains a 20-day spray schedule and continues to monitor the weather and farm situation to make any adjustments to the harvest season. This third example is of a farm that stump prunes a third of their acreage each year in large blocks or areas. The weather is drizzly off and on, and so Farmer C decides to spray the entire farm with Oxidate 2.0 at a 1% rate immediately before strip picking to kill off rust spores before they can be spread. This farm in Kealakekua finishes harvesting, strip picking, and pruning by February 15. It takes the farmer a couple of weeks to finish strip picking and then pruning all 3 acres. So on February 16, the farmer decides to spray his coffee trees with Badge X2 at a rate of 2.5 pounds per acre. On March 6, there's an unexpected 2-day shower, and so Farmer C decides to spray with Serenade ASO as soon as he can get out into the field on a dry day. On March 9, he sprays the productive 2 areas with Serenade at a rate of 2 quarts per acre. No spray application is needed for the stump block of trees. The farmer plans on spraying with Priaxor on April 2nd, and so on March 26, he notifies HDOA of the impending application. On the 2nd of April, the farmer calibrates his sprayer and determines that he needs 30 gallons of water to spray 1 acre for Field 1, or the first-year production trees, and 50 gallons of water to spray Field 2, or an acre of his second-year production trees. There's a clear delineation between these 2 sections. The farmer reads both Priaxor labels, has the labels with him at the mixing station, and puts on his PPE according to label directions. For Field 1, he fills his 50-gallon tank with 20 gallons of water, adds 7.14 fluid ounces of Priaxor to the tank, adds widespread max to the mix, and then fills the tank to the 30-gallon mark. The tank contents are mixed and continually agitated. Using a very deliberate spray motion and speed, the farmer applies Priaxor to the entire tree canopy, including the topside and underside of the leaves. He applies all 30 gallons to the first-year production field trees and returns to the mixing station. For Field 2, he fills his tank with 40 gallons of water, adds 7.14 fluid ounces of Priaxor to the tank, adds widespread max to the mix, and then fills the tank to the 50-gallon mark. The tank contents are mixed and continually agitated. He applies all 50 gallons to the second-year production field trees and then cleans up. That afternoon, he completes the pesticide application form, maintains a copy, and submits the original to HDOA via email. He also completes his farm's pesticide record-keeping log found at his central notification site. You might ask, why not just spray both fields with a total of 80 gallons of spray solution? Well, legally, you would be applying less than 7.14 fluid ounces per acre for Priaxor in the first-year production field, and more than 7.14 fluid ounces per acre of Priaxor in the second-year production field. So calibrating the sprayer and then applying Priaxor separately for each acre follows the Section 18 label directions. 3 weeks after the Priaxor application, on April 23, the farmer decides to rotate to an application of Badge X2 before applying his second application of Priaxor. He sprays Badge at a rate of 2.5 pounds per acre. Farmer C decides to spray his second application of Priaxor on May 7 and notifies HDOA on April 30 of the impending application. Since the weather is dry and no rain is anticipated for the next week, the farmer decides to desucker his trees during the first week of May and then make the application of Priaxor. He removes all but 3 young verticals from the stump trees, It removes all new shoots from the productive trees. If there are excess laterals and water shoots on the verticals, he removes these as well. On May 7, the farmer calibrates his sprayer and determines that he now needs 40 gallons of water to spray 1 acre of first-year production trees, 60 gallons of water to spray an acre of second-year production trees, and 20 gallons of water to spray the recently stumped field. The farmer reads both Priaxor labels, has the labels with him at the mixing station, and puts on his PPE according to label directions. For Field 1, or the first-year production field, he fills his 50-gallon tank with 30 gallons of water, adds 7.14 fluid ounces of Priaxor to the tank, adds widespread max to the mix, and then fills the tank to the 40-gallon mark. The tank contents are mixed and continually agitated. The farmer applies Priaxor to the entire tree canopy, including the undersides and topsides of the leaves. He applies all 40 gallons to Field 1 and returns to the mixing station. For Field 2, or the second-year production field trees, the farmer splits the application into two tank fills. He fills his tank with 20 gallons of water, adds 3.57 fluid ounces of Priaxor to the tank, adds widespread max to the mix, and then fills the tank to the 30-gallon mark. The tank contents are mixed and continually agitated. He applies the 30 gallons to half an acre of the second-year production field trees and returns to the mixing station to repeat this once more. For Field 3, this is the first application of Priaxor for the new growth. Farmer C fills the spray tank with 15 gallons of water, adds 7.14 fluid ounces of Priaxor to the tank, adds widespread max to the mix, and then fills the tank to the 20-gallon mark. The tank contents are mixed and continually agitated. After spraying the 20 gallons of Priaxor solution in Field 3, he cleans up. That afternoon, Farmer C completes the pesticide application form, maintains a copy, and submits the original to HDOA via email. He also completes his farm's pesticide record-keeping log found at his central notification site. With an approximate 3-week residual of Priaxor, the farmer sprays all 3 fields on May 28 with Serenade ASO at a rate of 2 quarts per acre. Farmer C decides he will spray Field 3, the field that was stumped in February, with a second application of Priaxor on June 8. So on June 1st, he notifies HDOA of the upcoming treatment. The farmer reads both Priaxor labels, has the labels with him at the mixing station, and puts on his PPE according to label directions. On June 8, after calibrating his sprayer, the farmer determines that Field 3 now requires 25 gallons of water per acre. He fills the tank with 20 gallons of water, adds 7.14 fluid ounces of Priaxor to the tank, adds in widespread max, and then fills the tank to the 25-gallon mark. He mixes and keeps the solution agitated and sprays Field 3. Farmer C has until June 18 to submit the pesticide application form to HDOA for the Priaxor application in Field 3, but he does not want to forget, and so on June 10, he completes the pesticide application form, maintains a copy, and submits the original to HDOA. Farmer C also completes his farm's pesticide record-keeping log found at his central notification site. From June 17, the farmer sets a 20-day spray schedule and decides to monitor his farm for CLR spread and for rain events. He plans to adjust his spray schedule accordingly with the weather, any increase in CLR incidence level, and with scheduled harvest dates. Since the farmer's second application of Priaxor was made on May 7 in Field 1 and 2, the earliest he can harvest his coffee is June 22nd. Farmer C schedules his second desuckering for August and plans on monitoring the weather and spraying as needed through the harvest. To sum things up from the examples, you may have also noticed some tips in the notes section. Remember that free-sitting water, whether from rain or irrigation, is critical for CLR spore germination and for creating new infections and lesions on the leaves. Time your spray applications to kill CLR spores before it rains. Calibrate your sprayer before applying pesticides to determine the amount of water needed to spray an acre of coffee or total acreage in crop. This will help you to determine how much pesticide product to add per gallon of water or per tankful and to remain compliant with pesticide label instructions. You may have noticed the purple, yellow, blue, and pink cells on some of the slides. These designate different frac groups of fungicides with different modes of action. When applying Priaxor, and also during the harvest months, spray with a rotation of approved fungicides in different frac groups for proper pesticide resistance management. Monitor your local weather conditions for rain events and adjust your spray schedule as needed. If the weather is dry, you may not need to spray with a fungicide, but be sure to spray before it rains again. Remember that CLR spores need to sit in water for about 24 to 48 hours for germination and leaf infection to occur. It is recommended that a spreader adjuvant be added to this Priaxor tank mix, but not a penetrating or sticker adjuvant. A sticker will cause Priaxor to adhere to the leaf surface and restrict its movement into the leaf. Priaxor must be absorbed into the leaf to be effective and does not need the help of a penetrant. In closing, leaf loss and branch death not only affects current production, but future production as well. Don't sacrifice your tree's health. If monitoring and then spraying does not work for you, opt to spray on a schedule of at least every 14 to 20 days with approved contact and preventative fungicides. I realize that there's a lot of information on this presentation, so if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via email, snail mail, phone, or text. Additional coffee and coffee leaf rest information and resources can be found on my website, hawaiicoffeeed.com. Priaxor information, complimentary presentations by HDOA's Mitchell McClure and Mike Ravelin of BASF, as well as pesticide use facts can also be found at the web links provided on this page. I'd like to acknowledge and thank the funding agencies and centers, as well as our partners and collaborators who currently support my extension program, staff, events, and our outreach efforts as we try to assist Hawaii's coffee industry through this challenging time. We're extremely thankful for your dedication to cooperative extension and to Hawaii's farmers. Thank you.